are you today? So, yeah, I just realized that you could probably see like a bunch of crumpled up pieces of paper and receipts and stuff on my floor in some of my previous videos recently. Ignore that or don't because I'm pointing it out. But yeah, I had been basically like frantically searching for some things in my room, which I might tell you about if I feel I'm able to in a productive way one day. But I was mantically, frantically. I can't speak. What the fuck am I saying? Why does that say romantically? I don't even know what the hell I just said. But Frank, I was I cannot speak. God fucking damn it. Hold up. Let me try again. Just drink some coffee. Hold on. I was frantically. I can't speak today. Like looking for some shit, and so like I forgot to clean up after, and um, and then I'm like looking, and then I'm like last night I look and I see on the ground like all of this paper, and I'm just like fuck, I made these live streams too, and I did not clean this up. Um, I don't know, it was like bothering me, just like the process, but whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. Um, but today we're going to be talking about my predictions for futures of deaf access, and I'm going to be just talking about like where I see things going based on past trends, current trends, um, as well as just based on technological developments, positive and negative aspects of things that have like impacted deaf accessibility and that I think could be occurring in the future. Um, and so, yeah, that's what we're basically going to be talking about today. Um, and so, yeah, I'm gonna roll my intro and then I'm gonna ramble for two shakes of a lamb's tail. I did talk about this before in another video, but I can't remember which one that is. But when I eventually actually go timestamp my shit like I want to, um, I will try to, at that point, link it up here if I can. Think to. But anyway, I said think to, like, fuck that. Not thank you. Anyway, whatever. Fuck this thing. Okay. Alright, let's do this bitch. Hi, my name is Lexie, aka Deaf Child. I'm born deaf, hard of hearing. My team was one of the top teams between 2020 and 2024 in New Orleans and Louisiana. I began doing business as Deaf Child in 2013, marketing 2011, and sales 2009. I've earned 50 plus certifications in marketing and sales, and I have my Bachelor of Science from Loyola University, New Orleans, with a music industry studies major and a business administration minor. Visit my site at noladeafchild.com. So, with deaf accommodations currently, there's pros and cons, right? Because thanks to technology and thanks to the social progress there has been with civil rights laws and things, there has been a good bit of methods for accommodations and accessibilities, and there's ways for deaf people to have access that was not possible for us to have 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you know? Um, and so, as technology progresses, there in many ways there are a lot more means for accessibility. However, sometimes as technology progresses, deaf accommodations aren't factored in, and so there isn't that accessibility with it until we fight for it, and then it comes about. And then there's also um, we are still fighting for access under laws which have loopholes that um, under certain conditions people will be able to argue to not provide us access even if it is discrimination. um, and there's also things where the Supreme Court, for example, is trying to take away certain law, certain uh, rights we should have under the ADA to be able to fight for accommodations, right? Like things like that have been happening. You can check my Aixen versus Lofi playlist for that. Um, fucking yeah, so there's like these things where even despite the progress, there's still these social issues, there's these laws against us. We're still not having equal access in education or employment or in deaf representation in general. Um, and with technology, there in some ways, because of the ways that technology allows us to have access, deaf people are able to get more representation than we previously had. But in other ways, because hearing people have more resources than us, they're able to still maintain control over our access, over our representation, over the laws about us, over our education, over everything in our life, basically, in a lot of scenarios. Um, and so, yeah, these are kind of like the positive and negative aspects of current deaf accommodations, right? And when it comes to the technology, though, that I was speaking on, how there's been technological developments. So with future accessibility, I've spoken before on like ways that I think this could go, um, but I'm just gonna kind of reiterate some of that and then maybe speak on more stuff. But like, for example, there's about 10 years ago, they made these sign language gloves. And I've had a lot of criticism about them in the way that they're being used in society because people are promoting them as this tool or something for like deaf people to wear so they know what we say and things like that. And also there's limitations on their ability to understand signs. And so it can also spread misinformation about accurate signs. There's just like so much wrong there. But it is a tool that can be useful if used rightly, if the limitations are addressed, if it's not being used in an exploitative or culturally appropriative way, right? But at the end of the day, it was created by hearing people and it's got a lot of hearing influence on all of it. And it's not, there's no deaf representation behind those developments, which is a big part of why I think there are these limitations. Besides the parts where we have to overcome the issues in technology to create the access, it's also about knowing what issues are there, right? And hearing people aren't going to know deaf issues if you're not deaf. Um, and so there's still like this barrier where we're not able to have input on our own accommodations development because it was done in a way that, it shouldn't have been done in my opinion. Now, um, when you see things like the Xbox Connect, we're able to trace our movement. So we know the technology's there. We know that you're able to keep progressing on that. So I'm not, negating the possibility of the development. I'm just saying we need to acknowledge that we're not like, people treat the gloves as if it's already at 100, but we need to make sure we recognize where it's at, right? That's what I'm saying. Um, and so then there's also like AI. Like if you go to gosign.ai, it's an AI game for learning sign language. So right now there's people working with in the deaf community working with creators for sign language to connect with machine learning. So when you connect this technology of this machine learning, where you're going to have this more accurate understanding of the sign language, when that gets connected to what's been technologically developed with the tracing of the movements with the sign language gloves, when we connect all of this, I believe in the future what we're going to have is more accessibility to where you could potentially end up being able to caption sign language just the same way you can do speech to text. And it's going to be very problematic at first, just like speech to text. Most of it's going to be wrong. and like it's it's gonna suck ass, right? And so we're gonna have to keep that in mind. And so what I see is that opening doors in some ways for us, like making it easier. Like all the time, deaf people are like, "Oh my God, I wish we could caption easily," the same way hearing people can when it comes to captioning videos, because y'all can do the auto captioner, but we can't. When if we want to caption sign language, that has to be manual right now, right? Um, and so fucking there are some ways it's gonna make it easier, but there's also I foresee and issues of struggle as well, because we already cannot get hearing people to listen to us on deaf issues. For example, I had Myrnie Ann 83 teaching people that the sign for Jewish meant Israel, and she had people saying fucked up things about Jewish people. And when I tried correcting her, she wants to fucking gaslight the shit out of me and allow her followers to gaslight the shit out of me. Mm, fucking. So yeah, like I there's I foresee that gonna get worse, because I foresee this if this technology develops to where you can auto caption sound language, a lot of it's not going to be accurate. So then I foresee hearing people taking that to use that to discriminate against deaf by negating us on sound language accessibility. I foresee it coming. Um, And I also foresee even more hearing people culturally appropriating sign language and infantilizing sign language, because they're going to think they know it and they don't. And they're going to have no connection to the deaf community and don't give a fuck about deaf access. We already see it. Um, and I foresee sign language. We've already had this a few we ever like there are these periods of times where you have like surges where sign language is trending in ASL in well ASL particularly for me in my experience, but I see that for like BSL too and like other sign languages as well. Like when like a new movie gets released or a specific creator goes viral, for example, for a bit, sign language as a whole will trend for two shakes of a lamb's tail right after. And so what else I foresee is like when it comes to predicting how implementing this technology is gonna could occur based on the past trends in deaf representation, I think that what we'll end up seeing is where like in the future when those trends occur and this technology is in place, you're going to have even higher surges than what we've seen before. Like if you go to like Google Trends Sign Language or ASL, if these technologies get into place the way I think they are, I foresee even higher trends than what we've ever seen before coming on people looking for sign language. And I think there's going to be pros and cons for all of it. The pros could be if enough people were decolonizing, right, and going with a deaf representation focus and focusing on deaf autonomy, deaf access, etc., deaf culture, and they're trying to understand the ways. I actually foresee it to be a beautiful thing. It could lead to a future where maybe um, there's that understanding and accessibility and things like that. But I honestly I don't know. That would, in my opinion, I feel like that would have to go hand in hand with like land back native Algonquian languages, restoration of hand talk, because you can't sit here and be like, let's decolonize the deaf hearing world without addressing the root of how it became colonized, right? So, um, that's what I hope. That's what would be great, if this led to a connection that came to that journey that was part of unwinding that string of intersectionality in the way, in terms of like dismantling all of the tools that are oppressing people. But my fear, what I'm worried about, is where this could go the opposite, to where people like could potentially be using this to discriminate, like I said, even more. Um, and where it's even harder for deaf people to correct the misinformation, to get access, to have the representation, because I feel like hearing people are going to try to just keep dominating all of the deaf issues and not listen to us. And that's like another thing where it's like hearing people keep telling me that deaf people need to be grateful for hearing people because they're trying to help us. But what they're not getting is you trying to help us is the oppression we've been living under for hundreds of years. So please just fucking stop because it's not helpful. And if you keep doing something to someone and they're telling you it's hurting them and you're saying, well, I'm going to do it anyway to help you, you're not actually helping them. You're just helping yourself, in my opinion. Um, because it doesn't do it, it's just to make you feel better. Like, what? You know? So, yeah, I'm over that shit. Totally over that shit. Anyway. So I feel like this is a pretty good conversation, a pretty good ramble, a little good stopping point. So just to conclude, just to wrap up, today we were talking about like social issues versus social progress, and we discussed my perspective of what I think could be happening in the future for deaf access when it comes to the positive and negative aspects of current deaf accommodations, some of the technological developments related to future accessibility, and predicting how implementing technology could occur based on past trends in deaf representation. So, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you. You're awesome. I hope you have a great fucking day. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel really weird today. But we are here. We show up. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. All right, bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeafchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.